It's TK Friday. Today it's getting creative with double exposure. Hello and welcome to The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. The other day I was working with the Nik Collection Analog Effects Pro 2 and I was playing around with double exposure. And this is the kind of result you can get with that. There's a lot of creative things you can do with the Nik Collection, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I can do something in Photoshop with the power of the TK8 plugin for Photoshop and get even better results where I'm the master of the entire edit. So I thought that's what I'm going to try, and that's what this video is all about today. By the way, if you don't yet have the TK8 plugin for Photoshop, I'll have my affiliate link in the description below. You can click on that. It'll take you to this website, which is the TK8 store, and you could purchase the panel and videos here. And then if you use my promo code DK15, you'll save 15% off everything. There's even a TK Basic V6 panel there too. If you just want to see what luminosity masking is all about, you can pick that up for free. Today I'll be combining this image with this image to make the double exposure. Now, if you watched my recent video entitled Having Fun with Style Transfer of Photoshop Neural Filter, 6 examples included. I used the Ferris wheel image I'll be using today for the double exposure, combining it with the image of the woman, and it kind of looks like a magazine cover to me when I'm all said and done, but you're going to learn a lot, so stay tuned and do not switch off. Watch the entire video. And also, please leave comments and questions. I really love to hear from you. I'll also link this video at the end if you haven't seen it. It's really cool working with the style transfer filter in Photoshop. Let's get started. The first thing I want to do is crop this image. I'll go ahead and grab this crop tool. Now, I'm not going to crop in, but you see the hand up here? It's too tight up here for me, so I want to add some more space. So I'm going to use the crop tool to do this. And this is a nice little tip here. I'm going to pull this up, and there's something in the crop tool called Content Aware. So click this on and click this check, and watch what happens. It will fill that space in for us. You see that? Now, it's left some of her fingers up here. It didn't do a perfect job, but we're going to fix that with a stamp tool. A clone stamp tool to be exact. I'm just Option or Alt clicking and sampling areas here and just using a very soft clone stamp tool and just, you know, the typical drill, get rid of these areas with a clone stamp tool. I'll make my image full size by clicking this button on the TK8 combo panel. By the way, I switched back to the TK8 combo panel. You know, sometimes I switch around. I want a different look on my interface. The combo and the CX panel are the same. They just look a little bit different. See, here's the CX panel. It's same stuff, but it looks different. That's all. I do have a roadmap coming up for you, mapping out what I'll be doing today. But first, let's get the two images combined. Let's go to the Ferris wheel image, and I have my move tool, and all I'm going to do is left click with my mouse and drag up onto this tab right here, and then release my left click, and there it is. Now what I'm going to do is pull back on the opacity so I can see the other image showing through, and kind of line this up the way I want to line it up. Now we can take this move tool and we can move things around, but we can also transform this and resize it. And we have a nice little action on the TK8 combo or CX panel right here. And click right here, and that will give you your transform tool. I'm going to make this image smaller so you can see it. You see, there's our transform tool. And then if you hold your shift key down, everything will be constrained. You see that? Or you could just drag the left here or whatever, and you can, you know, distort it or whatever you want to do. But I just want to align this up, and I think something like that should be pretty good right around there. I think that's going to make a nice double exposure. Now, just click on this check here, and now we can go ahead and resize this back up to the full size here. And I think that's good. Now, let me take the opacity and pull this the whole way up to 100%. And now all we see is the Ferris wheel, but we want to do a double exposure, but we're going to use luminosity masking. So just follow along with me very closely. But before we do the double exposure, let me shut off layer 1 because there's some issues on this girl here. I don't like these different emblems on her, and I'm going to fix some of this stuff up with my healing tool. I'm just going to go right on this background layer, spot healing, and just clean this stuff up. I don't want this stuff on here. I'm just going to get rid of it real quick here. May not be perfect, but I'm doing this fast because it's a tutorial. I just want to get rid of this stuff because it bugs me. And even this right here, my eye goes to this, so I'm going to get rid of that. And just this little eyelet here, I'm going to get rid of that, and this little thing right here, and there's a little spot right there. So that just cleans it up. Now I'm going to turn this layer back on, and now we're going to work with the double exposure. Now we can make the double exposure based on layer 1 or the background layer. It's your choice. You can try them both to see which one works the best, but in my experimentation, I found that using the background layer worked the best for me. So what I'm going to do, now follow me close here, is shut off layer 1, because we want to base our mask off of the background layer. So we need to shut this layer off, okay? And then what you need to do is come right up here, and this icon lets us modify the layer mask on the layer that's selected. Now right now there's no layer mask there, but watch, when I click this, a layer mask will go there. Now follow me closely here. You can click any one of these luminosity buttons here. I'm going to go ahead and click lights 1. Okay, when I do, you'll see a lights 1 layer mask go on here. And if I click this double arrow here, you can see there's that layer mask. It's based on the background layer, right? So I'm going to uncheck that, all right? And now I'm going to turn on layer 1. And now we see a double exposure, right? Now this is cool because we can go here and experiment. I'm not going to use the 2-up. I'm just experimenting and seeing the results I get by trying different layer masks. So I'm on lights 1. Let's try lights 2. See, it's a weaker effect, but we can experiment. Here's lights 3. Here's darks 1, a whole different effect. I don't like it so much. Here's darks 3. Let's try midtones 1. Not bad. Midtones 2. I kind of like midtones 2. Here's midtones 3, a stronger effect. But so far, I think I like lights 1 the best. So I'm going to use lights 1. All right. And that is our double exposure, but we're not totally done yet. And by that, I mean, I don't like the double exposure going over my model here, okay? Just like in this Nick collection, it's okay. And that's a true double exposure, but I'm giving this a bit of a twist. I'm making this more of a, call it a double exposure, more of a composite type look. But what I want to do is use subject selection to take the Ferris wheel off of the model. And to do that, I'm going to do something called masking the mask. Now, what I need to do is select the model here, okay? So what I need to do is, right now, if I click on select subject, I'm going to have a problem because you notice it's picking up other areas like on the Ferris wheel. That's not good, right? So I can shut this layer off. And now let's do another subject selection. So let's click right here. And as you can see here, the command is not available, right? So I'm going to click OK. So that's a problem, Houston. So come down to the background layer, click on it, and now click Select Subject. And now you'll see it says, this will discard your current selection. Do you want to continue? Well, yeah, I really do. So click OK. And now it selects the model. Now it misses a couple areas here. And I'll show you how we clean that up here in a second, but let's do this first. What we need to do is mask the mask, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on this layer. We're going to turn this layer back on, and now we'll simply click this group icon. This gives us a white group, and the fact that I had a selection, now you can see my model is selected, but it's really the opposite of what I want. But that's no big deal. We just need to invert it, and there's an icon right here on the combo panel. Click this and it inverts it, and now we got exactly what we wanted. And now if we zoom in, we can see there's a few little areas that it missed, like right up here on the hat. And let's look around and check it out. It looks pretty good everywhere, but right here it's missed. I'm going to go ahead and fix that real quick. I'll start out with a black brush and just fill in the areas that it's missed, like here and here. And if I need to erase something, I'll use a white brush, like right there. That's a white brush. And I'm going to add this in with a black brush right here. And I think everywhere else is pretty good. And I'm just painting on the mask. Now, if we go to the Ferris wheel layer, layer 1, and shut off this mask by clicking this X, we can see we have the Ferris wheel composited behind, which is kind of cool too. So, but I want the double exposure, so I'm going to turn my mask back on. Something else we can do is add a little blur to the Ferris wheel layer just to give a little more interest to the image. So let's make sure we have the Ferris wheel selected and click this icon right here, this drop, and that brings up a Gaussian blur. And let's just give it maybe just a tiny wee bit of blur just to make it a little bit more interesting. And click OK. And now let me give you the roadmap. The first thing I want to do is remove this blue color cast from the Ferris wheel layer because it's detracting from the image. I want this to have a warm, nostalgic look, so I don't want that blue in there. And the next thing I want to do is darken like these different areas, like the arms, this shirt here, and also, I do want to lighten this face as well. I didn't make a note of that, but I do want to lighten this face up here. Let's see here. Let me just write that down. Lighten. So we're going to lighten this face up. And the last thing I want to do is give this overall image a warm color grade just to pull the entire image together. And you'll see what I mean when I get to that stage. The next thing I want to do is get rid of the blue color cast on the Ferris wheel layer. Let's X out of this adjustment layer mask. And let's come right here. We can click this icon here, by the way. This is a quick way to get to some popular adjustment layers here. This is hue saturation, so click right here. What I want to do is clip it to the Ferris wheel layer, so my adjustment only affects that. And we can click on this icon right here, the paper clip. That'll clip this layer to that, right? So now what I want to do is, see where it says master here? I'm going to go to cyans and take my cyans and start to pull those to the left. And you see the cyans are going away. And now I'm going to go to my blues and drag my blues. I'm going to take it the whole way to the left and totally get rid of the blue saturation. And then the other thing I think I want to do is bring up the overall saturation on the Ferris wheel here. So let's go to master, and let's just give that a little extra saturation, just a tiny wee bit, not much, just a little bit. I just want a tiny bit more saturation. So now you can see here's the before and here's the after, and it has a much more nostalgic feel, but we're going to amplify that even more. And to do that, let's first close this group because I want to add a layer above the group, and if the group is open, it'll put the next layer inside the group. So what I want to do next is add a color grading layer because I want to warm up the entire image. So let's click on the color grading icon here. Click the plus. It's important that you click the plus or it doesn't go down. I want to go to midtones and simply get some warmth in the overall image. You see that, how it gives it a nice nostalgic overall look there. And then we could lighten up the midtones if we wanted to a little bit. And I think it's pretty good, maybe just right around there. We can work on the shadows as well. We can lighten those shadows up a little bit and fade the shadows a little bit, give it that more nostalgic look as well, just a little tiny wee bit. And they already look warm enough, so I'm not going to mess with the color grading there. But here's the before and here's the after. So we're moving in the right direction. Next, I want to lighten up the face. I'm using the object selection tool and using the artificial intelligence to work for me here. So I'm just going to go like this, and I think that's going to be a good selection. I'm going to X out of the color grading tool, go right up into my channels, click the active selection, and what I want to do is hit the mask calculator because I want to intersect it. Click on the X out of here, intersect it with a lights 1 mask, because it's going to not affect the shadows as much when I use the lights 1 mask. I'm going to click equals, and there's my mask right there. And now we're going to output it to a color grading tool, and I'll simply go on midtones, and we'll just slightly lighten it up a wee little bit, just like that. You see that? And I might even warm it up just a bit, because a little bit of warmth in that flesh tone on her face is going to look really nice. Now here is the before and here is the after. So just like that, it's that easy. Next, I think I'll darken down the shirt with the object selection tool. Just come around here. Let's, it's artificial intelligence, so it's very forgiving. And if it missed an area here or added too much, I can hold down the option key to subtract. And let's subtract out this little area because I don't want the necklace in here. Okay, and right here too, it missed right there. Right there. Being a little stubborn, and it missed this area down here, so if I hold the shift key down and come in here, I can add that little section right in there. And that's pretty good. And if it messed a little spot up, I can do a little bit of painting on my mask. Not a big deal. Now let's come up here, X out of here, click on My Channels, Active Selection. This is super fast, isn't it? Now let's go ahead and intersect it. But before I do, look, I can clean this up. Look, I can grab a white brush. Like I can see right here, there's that necklace. Whoops. I'll just do a Command or Control Z to undo that, or I could have just hit this little back arrow here. But let's go to a black brush. So let me click on the black brush, and I'm just going to paint this like right like here. Even up here. Just clean that up just a little wee bit, just like so. And that's going to be good enough. And it missed a little area right in here. So let me get a white brush and just paint in here. Like that. Just like that. And now let's hit the mask calculator and click the X for intersect, X out of here. And what I want to do is go to my luminosity mask and intersect it with a lights 1 and click equals. And right like that, I got it. And now let's output that to a color grading tool. Again, midtones, I just want to darken that up a bit. And maybe something like that. I can even go to the highlights and pull back on the highlights. Yeah, just a little wee bit as well, because I just don't want your eye being drawn to that, because light areas are going to draw your eye, so I want to darken that up a little bit. If I wanted to, let's see what happens if I add a little bit of warmth. Nah, I don't like it. I'm just going to pull it back. I'm just going to leave it right like that. Here's the before, and here's the after. See how your eye is going to go more to her face now? And now with the object selection tool, let's select this arm and hand. Trying to go fast here. Let me see if I can do all three at once. And let's grab this. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, add this area in here. Yep, that got it. And let's do this. I'm going to hold the Shift key down. I'm going to see if I can do all three at once. Originally, when I did this, I didn't do that. Hold the Shift key again. But hey, I'm all about speeding up. Now I'm painting kind of sloppy here, so we'll see how good artificial intelligence is. Pretty dang good. Now let's go ahead and X out of the color grading tool. Let's go to My Channels, Active Selection. I'm going to go ahead and intersect this with a lights 1. So let's click on the mask calculator, type X for the intersect, X out of here. Now it's just taking that selection. When I come up here to luminosity, and it automatically picks lights 1. Then you can change if you want a different one. But when you click equal, it'll just add that lights 1 to that selection. Just like that. Pretty cool, right? And now let's output it to a color grading tool. Let's go to midtones. I want to darken it up. Now the lights 1 is going to cause the shadows not to be affected as much, but mainly just the light areas. So look, I can just like that, isn't that? It's like magic, really. And if I wanted to warm those hands up a little bit, or arms in the midsection here, I could add some warmth here, but I don't think I need to. I think I'm good to go. That's all I want to do. Let's take a look. Here is the before, and here is the after. And just like that, it is that simple with the TK8 plugin for Photoshop. Like I said, I originally did 3 separate layers, one layer for this arm and hand, and this midsection, but I did it all in one, so that saved a lot of time. The last thing I want to do is add a little bit of a vignette around the image. I'm going to do a freehand vignette. This is an action in the TK combo/CX panel. Just draw yourself a nice little, with the lasso tool, a little selection around here. Like so. You decide how you want it to look, and then you just come to the TK actions, which are right here. Click here, and then the freehand vignette is right here. Click on that. Now it's going to set you up with the default radius, and I find that generally works out pretty well. I'm going to click OK, and basically what it does here, it's a curves adjustment layer in the multiply blend mode at 50%. Here's the before, and here's the after. But isn't that a great little vignette? If the vignette's too strong, you can take the opacity and pull it back. Okay. Usually what I like to do is take it the whole way back and then just slowly build it up and stop at the point where I think it looks right for me, which is probably right around there. Here is the before, and here's the after. See, look, almost 50%. But that's it. So we started out looking like this. We had this model, and then we added this Ferris wheel image to the background of it. Combined them together with luminosity masks, and it's a double exposure, sort of, or you might want to call it a composite. Whatever. It's a lot of fun, though. You got to give it a try. Well, there it is, everyone. Download these images and try this out for yourself. It's a great way of learning. It really helps to get these skills embedded into you, if that makes sense. If you enjoyed this tutorial today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe, click that bell notification icon. Then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time, but until then, happy editing.